fight either. I'm not looking to fight. But if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do. Maybe we won't have to fight. Don't forget, we haven't been fighting. We add a certain amount of genius to everything, but we haven't been fighting.
Trump is seriously considering joining the war and launching a U.S. strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, especially its underground uranium enrichment facility in Fordow. It is built into a mountain. They cannot get to it without our bunker-busting weapon. They need it, and they'll need our you mentioned C-130s, C-2s. You need a big plane. Only we have it to take it in there. And they can too. There you go. So they need us to do that. You've been hearing us talk about it for the last 2 hours. We'll see what the president does. America were active on his Truth Social this hour. That's because, according to Axios is reporting, President Trump will meet with his national security team in the White House Situation Room at 1 p.m. Eastern today to make decisions about U.S. policy toward the war between Israel and Iran. 3 U.S. officials have told Axios, and this is key.
Are we at war? We asked because the president suggested we were just a moment ago, posting numerous times on social media about how, quote, we have total control over the skies over Iran. And, quote, we know where the Ayatollah is hiding. Again, we. So is that President Trump unofficially declaring that we are attacking Iran alongside Israel? If it is, what does that involvement, that attack look like from our end? Is it intelligence or arms? Will it involve U.S. soldiers and U.S. bombers? After all, the going knowledge is that only the United States has a bomb capable of destroying Iran's most protected nuclear site, which is hidden underneath a mountain. A 30,000-pound bunker-busting bomb that can only be carried by an American B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. So is that what Donald Trump is threatening? Or is that just bluster to get Iran to fold to American and Israeli demands? And if so, what are those demands? Or again, is it another nuclear deal? Is it a regime change? We are going to find out soon enough, but keep in mind, this is exactly the kind of foreign entanglement that Donald Trump promised to keep Americans out of. You remember this on the campaign trail for 10 years now. And breaking that promise is already threatening to break his coalition. Or as Tucker Carlson put it, going to war with Iran would mean the end of Donald Trump's presidency.
We have major breaking news right now. The United States is preparing to strike Iran in the coming days as soon as this weekend, and multiple federal agencies are now preparing for the possible strike, according to Bloomberg. Officials have stressed that the attack plans are changing with every passing day, every passing hour. And the attack could still not happen, but they are looking at potentially this weekend as the day the United States strikes an Iranian nuclear facility. If the United States were to do this, the United States is preparing for Iran to strike back, specifically targeting U.S. bases in the region. It's moved a number of military assets from the Middle East to protect it. But if the United States gets kinetic, it will be in a war with Iran. Iran will fire back, even though it's unclear exactly what Iran could do at this point, given the fact that most of its ballistic missile launchers have been destroyed and its military program has really been decimated. Leaders are getting ready to attack, and multiple federal agencies.
Okay, I just saw this tweet. All U.S. Navy ships just vanished from Bahrain and reappeared on Iran's doorstep. No fanfare, no press release, just ghosted Bahrain overnight. Now 6+ U.S. warships are parked across the Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Oman, and right off Iran's coast, according to fresh satellite imagery. They didn't go home. They moved into striking position. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just water. It's the world's oil jugular, and now it's swarming with U.S. firepower. This isn't a routine repositioning. This is either a warning or an opening move. And the fact that no one's talking about it, that's the loudest signal of all. Something's coming. Oh, brother, you guys. Yeah, please leave a comment down below with what you guys think about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Also, guys, if you would consider leaving a follow, I'd really appreciate it. I upload every single day with the latest updates on news and pop culture.
If the US does join Israel's military campaign, how would Russia react?
I do understand your journalism. What will happen if the situation is moving? But why you're not focused on what is going right now?
Are you not concerned?
I'm very much concerned in what is going on right now with the strikes against nuclear objects and plants. I think this is a nightmare for the whole international community and international society. And I'm wondering, I'm shocked that international society is not paying attention.
We are.
That.
Everyone is.
No.
Everyone is. It's dominating all the news agendas.
No, not that much.
If the US were to join, would it be an escalation?
You paid so much attention to Ukraine and Zelensky and Kiev regime. You put them and him personally on the top for all these 3 years.
I can show you the Sky News
I'm not
app.
talking about you personally. You're a good guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm talking about the mainstream Western media. Not paying too much attention, taking it like normally, like a new normality.
Would that be an escalation, though, if the US joined Israel's military campaign or assisted?
Join? What do you mean by join? Probably they will start negotiations.
You're not concerned about them lending military support?
I'm concerning about the strikes against the nuclear plants. I'm repeating it for the third time.
If the United States goes to war with Iran, this will consume Trump's presidency. It will derail everything he hopes to do, regardless of what one thinks of his agenda. Going full throttle ahead to support Israel at this current moment in their escalation against Iran is antithetical to the America First movement. And you were just talking about how there's been change among influencers and so on. I would also mention that there's been considerable generational change. We see the younger generations, particularly among conservatives aged like 15 to 34, that have really changed in their views regarding Israel, regarding the conflicts in the Middle East more generally, because I think the Americans are realizing that this is not in America's interest to remain so cheek to jaw either with Israel or to become so entangled in the region's affairs.
Fox News alert, the Ayatollah's gone into hiding. He's believed to be holed up inside an underground bunker northeast of the capital. This is a different kind of Iranian hostage crisis. Khamenei can hide, but he can't run. For the past 24 hours, Israel's been attacking the area around his underground lair. But Khamenei, still talking tough, says Iran will not surrender to anyone. And is warning that if America joins the fight and strikes, it'll result in irreparable damage to the United States. Is he bluffing? We don't know. Iranian proxies, which have been severely degraded, are threatening to commit acts of terror against American troops and American ships in the region. And American businesses are now bracing for cyber attacks. Trump says, good luck with that. We won't be bullied.
I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the, all the nuclear stuff that's all over the place there. No, they had bad intentions. For 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like. They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore.
Trump's been meeting in the Situation Room with his national security team. Head of Central Command, Army General Eric Kurilla, they call him the Gorilla, has been instrumental in the war planning. The Pentagon's sending in their new state-of-the-art supercarrier, the USS Gerald Ford, and amassing a tremendous amount of assets in the area. Today, Trump had lunch with Pakistan's army chief. Pakistan borders Iran. Seems like something's about to happen. Trump's not showing his cards yet.
Whether you are moving closer or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question. Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
And this is just breaking. The Wall Street Journal is reporting Trump privately approved attack plans against Iran. Now, we don't know what these plans entail, but we're told they include U.S. airstrikes. Unsure if that includes bunker busters. Remember, the latest version of the bunker buster has never been used on the battlefield. It's only been tested. Axios reports that Trump has been quizzing his generals. Are they sure if he uses them, they'll be 100% effective? The generals say yes, but Trump's not completely convinced. Caroline Leavitt says all options remain on the table. Trump's been waiting on giving the final order, seeing if the Iranians give up and surrender their nuke program peacefully. Sources in D.C. say Trump's out of patience and Iran's up against the clock.
I believe that unless Iran surrenders in the next 48 hours, the United States, in conjunction with Israel, will engage in military action.
Trump says the Iranians want to fly all the way to the White House to negotiate an end to this. But he says it's too late. He doesn't appear to be open to long, drawn-out negotiations where he gets strung along like last time.
We're not looking for a ceasefire. We're looking for a total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon.
Trump's made a decision. Iran's nuclear program is gone. The person who ultimately decides that is the Ayatollah. He can either let us do it peacefully or we'll do it violently. But either way, the outcome of this war is this. The Iranians will never be able to acquire a nuclear weapon, ever. But time's running out for both sides. Israel's reportedly running low on defensive interceptors, and Iran's reportedly running low on missiles. Iran's also running out of allies. They don't have any friends left in the region. And China, their biggest customer, quiet. And Putin, he has his own problems.
I spoke to him yesterday, and I said, he actually offered to help mediate. I said, do me a favor. Mediate your own. Let's mediate Russia first, okay? I said, Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. You can worry about this later.
The Persians are pinned up against the wall. They've been completely humiliated by a tiny Jewish nation, a fraction of the size of Iran. And now the Daily Wire is reporting that the Mossad set up a fake hotline in Iran and ordered top Iranian military officials into an emergency meeting. And the generals were lured into a small bunker in Tehran before Israel wiped them out with a precision airstrike. And inside of the country, you're starting to see unrest. Sanctions have crippled their economy so badly that workers are rioting over delayed payments. Manufacturers are striking over high inflation. Schools, cement factories, and pharmaceutical plants are shutting down. The Iranian currency is getting shredded. And Israel's hitting Iranian energy infrastructure, which is going to create price shocks and shortages. So with the streets teetering and its military commanders assassinated, a nuke might be the Ayatollah's only hope. No one really knows how fast they could spin up a device and strap it into a warhead. But Trump says they're only a few weeks away. Back in March, Tulsi Gabbard said the Iranians were enriching uranium at record levels.
In the past year, we've seen an erosion of a decades-long taboo in Iran on discussing nuclear weapons in public, likely emboldening nuclear weapons advocates within Iran's decision-making apparatus. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile is at its highest levels and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons.
So will the United States end Iran's nuclear program with a 30,000-pound bunker buster? Or can Israel end it themselves? Israel admits they have options. They could knock out the power plants that run the underground nuke facility. And since they control the air, Israeli commandos could be inserted and fight their way in and then detonate the site with dynamite. If America does it, there would be consequences, nuclear contamination, and internationally there could be some fallout, though I'm sure Trump could handle it. Either way, the Iranians would retaliate and the United States would have to go back onto a war footing in the Middle East. The whole world's watching. It's the biggest moment of the Trump presidency. China and Russia surveying the scene, and so are our trade partners. We're at this moment in history because of Obama and Biden. They signed a toothless nuke deal that let the Iranians keep enriching and let them keep their ballistic missiles, and paid them billions of dollars, which they used to finance their war machine and proxies. Proxies which have been killing Americans for decades. Marines in Beirut, soldiers in Iraq, and taking Americans hostage in Gaza and inside of Iran. American deterrence, backed by the threat of violence, is what maintains order in the world. And sometimes there comes a time when the commander-in-chief has to use force to nourish the deterrence and keep the American people safe. Is this one of those times? We're about to find out.
Maybe hours, if not at most days away from a war with Iran. President Trump has now privately approved the attack plans. Multiple sources confirm the U.S. military has its targets ready, strike orders drafted, and troops on standby. But the final order has not been given yet. One more aircraft carrier is still en route. 2 carrier strike groups are already in position. The moment that the 3rd ship arrives, everything could possibly change. Trump has said he wants to make the final call 1 second before it's due, but those plans are already locked in. Targets have been selected. Commanders are waiting. 40,000 plus U.S. troops are already deployed across the region. Aircraft are in the skies. Warships are in striking range. This is not a drill. Iran's leadership is on high alert. They have held emergency national security meetings and vowed not to surrender under pressure. We are likely going to be going live tonight or tomorrow to announce that the U.S. is either at war or right on the edge of it. We may have 24 to 48 hours before the strikes begin, or it could just be hours. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Substack for all updates and all reports.
If you live in New York City, this message is for you. Over the past few days, there's been rising tensions. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has irresponsibly made a statement saying that there is a possibility that Iran will attack New York City. This has led to an unwarranted fear amongst New Yorkers. Let me be very clear. Iran does not possess the capabilities to attack the United States. Iran possesses no artillery that can strike New York City. There has been a report that there are about 40 to 50 sleeper cell agents living within the U.S. And if you do not know what a sleeper cell agent is, let me explain. A sleeper cell refers to a clandestine group of operatives or sleeper agents who live ordinary, unremarkable lives within their target country. I can assure you that both the FBI and the CIA know who these people are and most likely have them under consistent surveillance. Since 9/11, not only has New York become one of the most protected and secured cities in America, but there's also a military base called Fort Hamilton located in Brooklyn. The city of New York, especially during high times of tension, is constantly surveilled by the military. We are also protected by our geological location. Both the east and west coasts are protected by 2 of the largest bodies of water, and our northern and southern borders are protected by allied countries. Due to these factors, it makes it extremely, if not almost impossible, to invade or strike America, with less than a handful of countries being able to strike from a distance, none of which we are currently at war with. So for all the New Yorkers on high alert, rest assured, you are safe. Well, unless we go into a world war and then, nobody's safe.
On Monday night, Donald Trump called for Iran's unconditional surrender. Trump claimed credit for Israel's uncontested freedom over the skies of Tehran, and he said he knew where the Supreme Leader was hiding, but he would spare his life for now. In response, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei declared the battle begins. With every night that passes, the US is inching closer to war with Iran. This war is following the same pattern as Israel's 18-month war on Gaza. The more the victim resists, the greater the anger and violence of the aggressor. Allowing Israel to attack Iran and then attacking Iran with B-2s and bunker-busting bombs would, however, be the worst miscalculation a US president has made since George W. Bush invaded Iraq. That too was done at Israel's behest. And look what happened. 8 years of conflict, at least 650,000 dead, the spawning of the Islamic State, and a country on the verge of collapse from which it has yet to recover 14 years on. Trump's decision could prove even more calamitous and much more long-lasting. Just consider what would happen if Trump and Netanyahu won, if the regime collapsed and the CIA installed the Shah's son from California. Netanyahu would be crowned the indisputed hegemon of the Middle East. Every Gulf leader would go crawling to him on their hands and knees. The Abraham Accords would be signed, sealed, and delivered. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Palestinians would flee Gaza and the West Bank and head for Europe. And you'd have this well of anger, humiliation, and sense of defeat buried so deep in every Arab and Iranian heart that would fuel the hatred of Israel for generations to come. Peace at this price would not be wonderful, in Trump's words. It would be sullen, angry, and highly explosive. It would not feel like a defeat on the scale of 1967 or 1973. It would be bigger than that. It would be a time bomb ticking away under every Arab regime. But we are far away from Iran waving the white flag. If anything, Iran has just got into gear. Iran has been through this before. For 8 years, it fought a bitter and bloody war after it was attacked by Saddam Hussein. It is this bitter experience, no less Islamic Republic's ideology, that has fashioned Iran's foreign policy. Its nuclear enrichment program and its rocket arsenal were all burnished in the fire of the Iran-Iraq war. Like Netanyahu, the Iraqi dictator launched a war when he deemed his neighbor to be at its most vulnerable. On the 22nd of September 1980, Iran's then Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei was still grappling with post-revolutionary chaos. He didn't have an army, much of it was dissolved when the Shah was toppled. Iran had a combination of regular forces and the newly formed, untested Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But it was so short of weapons that they were passed from one soldier to another as they fell in waves on the front line. Saddam's forces initially made rapid advances, but they were slowly pushed back at a huge cost in lives. Like Netanyahu today, Saddam was supported by the US and Europe. He got the means to manufacture the chemical weapons from German companies, which provided the technology and precursor chemicals needed to manufacture mustard gas, sarin, tabun, and other chemical agents. 3 years into the war, the late US President Ronald Reagan sent his then bright young thing, Donald Rumsfeld, to shake hands with Saddam. The National Security Decision Directive, the NSDD 144 of the 26th of November 1983, stated the US objective. It only wanted to protect its military forces and its oil supplies in the Gulf. Saddam's chemical weapons were of no concern to Rumsfeld or Reagan, but an entire generation of Iranians will never forget those gas attacks, from which veterans suffer to this day. And it was this bloody and savage war, which Iran eventually won, that forged the determination of Tehran to train and build a network of armed groups from the Mediterranean to its borders as a form of deep defense. That original chain of militias is for the moment inactive. Only the Houthis are still fighting. Hezbollah is silent after its defeat at the hands of Israel. The new regime in Syria and Iraq just watch as the Israeli jets fly overhead on their way to Iran. Plainly, Iran remains exposed to attack as never before. But there's another way of looking at it. Iran and Hezbollah did all in their power to avoid a war with Israel, but their reticence in striking back after repeated blows was interpreted by Netanyahu as weakness. The absence of an Iranian response was read as an encouragement to go for the jugular, which is where we are now. Like Saddam in 1980 or Bush in 2003, Netanyahu's placing all his bets on a short war and an early, swift capitulation by Iran. But unlike any war Israel has fought since 1973, Israeli warplanes are attacking a real army and a real state. Iran has strategic depth. It has the enrichment centrifuges buried half a kilometer underground at some of its 5 sites. Even if the enrichment centrifuges buried under a mountain at Fordo are put out of action, Iran still has 500 kilograms of enriched uranium, which could be stored anywhere. It could close the Straits of Hormuz, through which 21% of the global petroleum liquids transit within the blink of an eye. It also has a huge range of US targets to attack in the region and beyond. And while the Iraqi militias are keeping their heads down now, they are unlikely to remain so indefinitely. An Iranian regime which feels under existential threat has every incentive now to develop a bomb, even if, as the US intelligence establishment has told its president, there is no evidence they have been doing that. The relative weakness of Tehran's conventional arms and its vulnerability to the F-35s will provide the same logic to a battered Iran as it did to Putin, who thought at one stage in the war in Ukraine he was on the verge of losing Crimea. He threatened to use a tactical nuclear missile, and the then US President Joe Biden took that threat seriously. If Trump and Netanyahu think they are dissuading Iran from getting a bomb by dismantling their conventional means of self-defense, they are sorely mistaken. Any nuclear strategist who has wargamed these scenarios will tell you that the weaker and less reliable conventional forces are, the more heavily a state will lean on its nuclear deterrent, and the readier it will be to use it as a weapon of first resort. There is no indication yet that this is the thinking of Iran's supreme leader or its government, but public opinion in Iran, even before this attack, is turning to a clear majority in favor of getting the bomb. Trump said the US would not tolerate a North Korea in the Gulf, but that is what he might achieve by allowing Israel to bomb Iran. But Trump is not exactly known for his ability to think strategically. He's a television man who thinks in sound bites and is swayed by the last person he talks to. Israel will soon run out of Arrow air defense missiles, which are expensive and difficult to produce. At their current rate of use, they have 2 weeks left, if not resupplied by the US. Even if most of the Iranian ballistic missiles get shot down, they are using up scarce resources every time they are fired. Iran's ability to fight a long war should not be underestimated. Israel's ability to do so should not be overestimated. The bombing of Gaza could not have continued for more than 2 months without the US resupplying Israel with heavy bombs, and this war is looking the same. Either way, Trump in his second term has started the mother of all battles, which neither he nor Netanyahu have a clue how to stop.
The world is holding its breath as President Trump teases military action against Iran, while Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei warns of all-out war if America steps in. In today's video, we broke down Trump's ominous remarks about hitting Iran and demanding unconditional surrender, Khamenei's defiant response and threats of retaliation against U.S. targets, the U.S. naval buildup and Pentagon's war-ready posture, and intelligence and congressional pushback on bypassing the war power process. Thanks for staying throughout the breakdown. We're closer than ever to a real US-Iran showdown, and that's far bigger than politics. If you feel the tension too, like, share, and subscribe to track this rapidly evolving global story. And drop a comment. Do you think Trump's posturing will force a deal or trigger an irreversible conflict? Is Trump bluffing to pressure Iran into negotiations or preparing for an actual strike? And where does Ayatollah Khamenei stand? Stay alert because this could be the fuse that changes world history. Until the next update, stay informed, stay engaged. Just a quick note, full credit goes to the original creators of these videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.